Hi everybody, it's Joe Chaffee on this Saturday as we watch a storm system basically fall apart on top of us. We're looking at the midday weather conditions here, and the radar is kind of overlaid on it, and you can see how utterly unimpressive it is. It just doesn't show anything other than just some blotchy precip. A lot of this isn't even reaching the ground, and I can tell you that the sun is coming out at the moment, and we are, sometimes these things evolve in one direction where you go from not showing very much to showing quite a bit, and sometimes it happens in reverse. And we could take a look at a few of the models today and take a look at what's happening. You've got the HRRR model, which through 1 o'clock tomorrow morning produces very little, if any, snow, a coating to an inch and nothing on the coast. And this makes total sense with what's going on. So I'm just going to flip to the NAM model, the new NAM model that's just out. This just came out, and late in the afternoon yesterday, we began seeing signs that this thing was not going to amount to very much. And the NAM model, for example, went from yesterday, and I'll just punch it back. This is the snowfall map. So this is the snowfall map from yesterday. And this was the snowfall map from the NAM from late yesterday afternoon, producing 1 foot plus snows for New York City and most of Long Island, and 6 to 10 inches in a concentrated area in northern New Jersey, Long Island, and the Hudson Valley. And it's gone from that to this. And it's amazing, isn't it? Next to nothing. Barely a coating of snow being indicated, and we're done. And judging from what's been happening in terms of the situation aloft here, we'll put up the upper air map here and see what's happening. We have this diving weather system that's coming down from the Great Lakes. Just scroll it back right here, and there's your upper air system. And one of the problems that has wound up happening was that the model was strengthening this upper low as it moved its way down into Chesapeake Bay, when in reality, it actually is weakening. It's peaked in strength right about here, and then it weakens as it approaches the coast. And you don't have any kind of good inflow of moisture coming in from off the ocean. This is just basically an open trough that's swinging out off the coast, as opposed to yesterday where we had this somewhat vigorously cut off upper air storm with winds aloft coming in from the east, which doesn't happen very often. And the fact that the system is now so much weaker than forecast by the models is indicative of what's happening at the surface, which is not very much. And we'll go to that surface map. One of the things that we were looking at yesterday with this was the fact that the upper air storm was going to take that surface low and hook it back to the west. Well, if you don't have a well-developed upper air storm, there's your surface low going out, and it does kind of try to hook back there barely, but it never does. And this is, this became the big issue. And what was really interesting is that it set up as a battle yesterday between the American models, the NAM and the GFS, against the non-American models with the Canadian, the RGEM, which is a Canadian map, and the European map. And guess what? The non-American models handled this the best. Here's the Canadian from last night, which pretty much shows it. You can see that low goes up, kind of just sits there, maybe arcs back a little snow to coastal southeastern New England, and that may wind up being overdone, and then out it goes. Late yesterday afternoon, it bothered me that the RGEM model did not show anything at all. And that was a big clue, because that model works really, it only goes out 48 hours. And it works very, very well. It's worked very, very well in these wintertime situations. In fact, we have the new RGEM right now, and you can look at this. And you can see it brings a little bit of precip in this evening, a little rain, a little wet snow, and then that's it. The surface low goes almost straight east and then starts to turn northeast, but it's already way out. It would have really basically had to, if, with that upper low the way it is, there's just no. Yesterday, it was wanting, or some of the models were wanting to arc that surface low back to the northwest, and that's just wrong. Or if it does happen, it's going to happen when it's out southeast of Cape Cod, and maybe southeastern New England catches a little bit of snow out of this. But other than that, it's pretty much done. So kudos to the Canadian, RGEM, and European models for doing such a great job with this. And boo to the GFS, and big boos to the NAM. As well as the NAM did in the blizzard, it did miserable with this. So let's take a look at what the GFS last night has in the long range, and we can take a look at, we can view this, of course, in the broadest context. So we are actually going to warm up a little bit Monday into Tuesday. We do have another cold front coming through with a very cold high building southward, and there's a bit of a wave that develops on that front, but it's way to the south in the Carolinas. Maybe a little bit of snow in southern Virginia, northern North Carolina with this little wave, but it doesn't really look like very much. Meanwhile, in the west, here comes another storm into the Pacific Northwest, and looks like some widespread rains throughout California, even into the southwest, as a piece of it goes down there and into Colorado, where you get some rain and you get some snow on the western part of the state, and some rain and snow throughout Wyoming, snow into the plains and upper Mississippi Valley, as later in the week, the next low goes to the Great Lakes. We don't have any blocking to speak of, so it seems like storm tracks are going to be shifting to the north now. And also, with the high going out to the south and a southwest flow, is a good shot at getting pretty warm for a couple of days, maybe late next week or next weekend. A lot's going to depend on how warm fronts set up in the marine layer. Now we've got more active weather coming into the west next weekend again, rain and snow there. And going forward, doesn't look like any big storms are on the horizon here. There's one toward the end of the period that starts to go. You see them all kind of tracking to the Great Lakes. And then the last one tracks to the south. Now, of course, we're at now early April here, so we're really long in the tooth. Frankly, I want this all to be over with. The winter was long and very tough from a forecasting standpoint. They're all tough, but this one, for some reason, seemed extra agonizing. And I really don't want it. I really don't want another snowfall to have to figure out. One of the things the GFS has been doing, at least toward the end of the period, is trying to show another upper high, trying to build into Greenland. I don't know if that's real or not. In the meantime, we do have that trough coming. Let me just roll it back here so we can take a look, get a better picture. So here's the middle of this week, and you can see that trough comes in the west. So it looks like we have some troughing back coming into the western part of the United States, and maybe a tendency for a ridge. We're going to have a ridge here at the end of next week and into next weekend, so that'll help warm things up a bit for a couple of days at least. Weather systems moving along, but it looks like that trough comes back in the west, and the ridge comes back into the east for the very end of March. And then around the beginning of April, we start to see maybe this block trying to come back in. But again, this is at the point now where I just kind of want it to go away. We've got a deep trough from Alaska south eastward down into the southwest. So that looks fairly dominant. Ridge here, trough all off the east coast. My view on this is that I don't see any big storms on the horizon. So it looks like the weather after the big blizzard, as often happens when you have major storms of great magnitude, like the one that affected the Northeast this week. Usually when that happens, the atmosphere gets spent for a little while. The needs to regroup. All the energy has been worked out. So at least from the standpoint of any kind of major storms, it looks very benign over the next week to 10 days at least, and then after that we'll leave it up to chance to see what happens. And well, at least we can take a breather here. All right, so hope everybody had a great St. Patrick's Day. Tomorrow is St. Joseph's Day, so happy St. Joseph's Day, and head to your local bakery and get some Zeppeli or sfogliatelle, which I don't like. I'm not a big baked goods person. I don't like the sweet stuff. But enjoy and celebrate St. Joseph's Day, and it'll be weather will be fairly benign here. Maybe we'll wind up with a coating of snow overnight. Who knows? All right, so latest website posts on meteorologistjoechaffee.com. Angry Ben has New York City covered on nycweathernow.com, so do check him out. He has an interesting persona and a very interesting perspective on the weather, and does a very good job. And of course, you can download my app and subscribe to my forecasts. The app is free, and the forecast subscription is just 99 cents a month for New York City, Long Island, New Jersey, Connecticut, Hudson Valley, and Eastern Pennsylvania. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. And by the way, if you are in the New York, New Jersey area, I'll be on WPIX TV tonight and tomorrow night at 5 o'clock this evening and at 10 o'clock tonight. So do tune in, and we will see you tomorrow.